Have you ever had a transcendent experience in which you discovered that you are not who you had thought yourself to be? Perhaps you glimpsed your true nature as infinite and eternal. If so, then it's also likely that you've had an experience in which you thought to yourself, what do I need to do to have that transcendent experience always and forever, all for my very own, because it's so nice and I want it? And you might wonder, why is it that I keep seeming to come back to this limited, identified, contracted state? What am I doing wrong? Well, in this video, I'm going to share with you some things that can help. The first thing that I'm going to share with you is notice what a blessing it is to have had the experience at all. Now, I know that it's easy to trivialize and dismiss the experience, and most people do. Well, first of all, most people don't recognize that they've had the experience at all. But the fact that you have recognized it at all is a huge blessing. And if you choose to trivialize and dismiss that, then you will be making a mistake. So instead, choose to actually acknowledge what a blessing it is. Now, think about for a moment. That experience allowed you to recognize something about who you are. Prior to that, you were asleep. You didn't know who you were. You thought that you were a character in this world. You thought that you were bound by the character. You thought that all the things in this world were happening to you. You didn't have a clue otherwise. And you were suffering as a result. And there was no hope for anything other than that. Having had the experience, the transcendent experience, allows you to know something of who you are. It gives you the possibility of choosing freedom. So if you dismiss and trivialize the experience, then you will be overlooking the possibility of actually accepting that freedom. If you reflect upon what a blessing it is and you acknowledge the blessing, then you will be expanding that blessing in your life. So that's the first thing. Now, I know most people will, even after I've said it, they'll say, oh, that's foolish, that's silly, that won't work. And so they won't do it, and then they won't get the benefits of that. However, I can promise you that if you do what I'm pointing to, then you will discover the benefits of it. Now, the second thing that I'm going to share with you is this. And this may be unpopular, but it is the truth nonetheless. Most people focus on the experience, and that is a mistake because the experience, by its very nature, is temporary. That's what experience is. Experience is changeable. It is always changing. That's its nature. That doesn't make it bad. It's just what it is. So if you're grasping for experience and you think you need to have that experience eternally, forever and ever, in order to be okay, then you're always going to be disappointed. It's not a fault of the experience. It's just the nature of experience. The error is in the expectation. If you think that experience is going to give you eternal satisfaction, then it's just an error. So instead of grasping for experience, what I suggest is instead to focus on the knowledge. The knowledge is eternal, or at least the knowledge is of what is eternal. And that can give you what it is that you want because you want what is eternal. So focus on the knowledge. The more that you focus on the knowledge, the more satisfaction you will experience. So the paradox is that the more you chase after the experience, the more fleeting it is. The more that you focus on the knowledge, the more enlivened the authentic expression or experience of that knowledge becomes. I don't know if I made that a complete sentence or not, but that's the paradox. So instead of focusing on the experience, focus on the knowledge. And by knowledge, I'm not talking about intellectual knowledge. I'm talking about the direct knowledge. So notice directly what it is that is known or perceived through that experience. So the experience was temporary, but it gave you a glimpse of what is eternal. Reflect upon that. Notice that. Notice what it is that is here now that is also what was glimpsed then, because that is what is eternal. So do that. Just reflect upon that. Do that now. Notice what is it here that is here now that is always here now. What is it that is here now that is unchanging? What is it that you glimpsed then that is also here now? So regardless of the experience, because the experience is changing. So the experience now is different than the experience then. There is something that is that is continuous, that is consistent, that is independent of the experience. Notice that. Now, this is not something to be had and grasped in the intellect. This is something that has to be directly known now. So just know it now. If you get frustrated with this, then let go. You're trying too hard. It's much simpler than that. It's a living process. So just engage with it as a living process now. This is what it is that you really want. Now, it may be useful to allow yourself to have certain kinds of experiences of relative stillness and silence in order to be able to do that reflection and comparison. So if you find that useful, then certainly I think that that can be quite a valuable thing. So you might want to choose to do a regular meditation practice. I One of the simplest and most accessible practices is simple breath awareness. Just sit, eyes closed, and just be aware of the breathing as it is happening. It's not the only practice that is valuable or useful. It's just one that is very simple, very accessible to everybody, and also quite effective. The the main thing to notice though is that it's not about the experiences. So there will be experiences that will occur. Those experiences, as all experiences are temporary. What's valuable about that is what that will reveal to you that you can then reflect upon. So notice in the experience that may occur in the meditative practice, what does that reveal to you about what is eternal? And then notice and compare through all experience to notice what is it that is eternal. So what is true now that was also true in the meditative experience? This will allow you to then more clearly realize what it is that is actually truly unchanging and eternal. And that is what gives real peace, because that's the only real stability. So that's the first thing. Now, the person who asked this question also asked about manifesting from this recognition or from this silence. Now, you may find that you have less and less desire to consciously manifest the more that you recognize this eternal nature. However, it is possible, certainly, for you to consciously manifest from this silence, and it's quite effective and powerful to do. Uh, so I'll describe that process to you. So the first thing is, well, first of all, I'll just say you are always manifesting from this eternal silent nature. That's how all manifestation is occurring. But what you're probably wanting is to consciously manifest instead of to manifest whatever those tendencies are, the unconscious tendencies. So in order to consciously manifest, here's a process that I can describe to you. First is to get clear on what it is that you want. So make a clear intention. I recommend that you write it down and refine it so that you get really, really, really clear on what you want. Make it very clear to yourself so that you know exactly what you want, what all the considerations and conditions are around that. Uh, and then also, as you do that, notice, are there limiting beliefs that come up after the fact that interfere? If so, release those limiting beliefs so that you can make the intention, and then the intention is unobstructed. So that's the first step, is make the intention, remove the interference so that it can be a clear, unobstructed intention where you have no inner conflict or resistance to it, so that it can just be unobstructed. Second step is allow yourself to recognize the stillness of the unmanifest self. There's no technique that's required for this. However, if you want a very simple technique, just watch for the next thought. If you watch for the next thought will not come. So as you watch for the next thought, what happens is then naturally you will become aware of the stillness and silence of the unmanifest self that's present. So then from this stillness, set the intention. And as you set the intention, know that it is made manifest. That's it. So that's the entire process. Just know, set the intention, know that it is done. There's nothing else that's required for that. Of course, if you have doubts that arise, then you may find it helpful to repeat the process. It's not actually necessary, but if you have doubts, you can certainly repeat the process. But it would be better just to have the certainty and knowing and trust that it is done. So that is my response to the questions that were asked on this topic. Let me also just say that you may also find it beneficial um, to have the support of community or the knowledge that can continue to help you to release any doubts that you have regarding any of these matters. So certainly you can do what I've described entirely on your own. However, having the support of community, even if it's virtual community through videos on YouTube, can be helpful in that regard. With all that said, if you have any questions about this topic or other topics that are sincere, I'm happy to hear from you. You can post a comment below. And also, if you have not yet gotten the ebook that I offer on my website, I encourage you to check that out because it's very complementary to the things that I described here. In that ebook, I cover 5 of the fundamental laws that govern creation. So check that out at joeylott.com. I'll leave the link in the description. Blessings to you. Bye for now. Take care.